All right. Y'all still want to be called Schmoedown Rockers despite name change? Leave a comment below. Till then, what up, Schmoedown Rockers? We're still going to call this... You know what? Yeah, we are going to do that, actually. Never mind. But you can ask if you want anyway. I don't care. As much on that, at least. But, yes, we're back. New season. New era. Which I initially thought they would at least have called this the Miracle season? Or Magnificent season would be an interesting one. Since 7, Magnificent, get it? I mean... but season 7, that was a missed opportunity, but I get calling new era because we are in a new decade as well, and plus with the way things the draft are and a lot of things going on with that. Part of the reason why I'm going to only be brief about it, and if you want something more thorough, go somewhere else. As far as the draft part is concerned, the awards were fine too. It was actually pretty good for what it was, and I could tell you that one felt more like what we got from this year's Golden Globes meets the Slammies, as opposed to Academy meets Slammies, or Oscars meets Slammies, I guess. As far as I'm concerned, and then having gone from that straight into draft to the point where I'm glad Christian finally said, yeah, that's not a good idea to do that, even though the other idea he's going to be coming up with, it does have me worried. Because it's kind of makes all of us who've done the Facebook groups kind of feel null and void, like our voice and what we've done in helping build a community feel null and void. And that's why I was a little worried about it. Glad someone super chatted something, saying something about it. I don't think it was really heard all that well, but that's just me. Not looking into it as right. I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, I like what relationships I've gained, especially despite what little I've done with Schmitz, and I'd like to hopefully rectify that if I do wind up meeting him, if he's somehow in Chicago, whether he's playing or as a competitor, or if he's somehow just decides to show up as a fan. And anyways, besides that, plus wearing kind of a hoodie, so I'm not a part of Dungeon, and hoodies is a thing there too, and it's still, I guess, technically going to be a thing with Tom, which I guess he's still going to be Tom. Why they just called it Paul and Tom? I don't know why. It's not even a movie reference. I mean, Press Tom would have been funnier. A lot of missed opportunities there. But anyways, or at least that's what the plan of that team name was going to be. But that's not what we're talking about. The main thing I was going to talk about is the New York Live event. And also small things that have happened in between with trades. Right now, it's the biggest thing that I'm excited about is Video Drew finally joining us. Apparently, Rick Hahn is his name. And then apparently the Mugan. Yes, I tried to say it as if Kaiser himself was going to say it, and I can't wait for him to actually say it himself. It's going to be fun. So, also, if there's a way I could put a GIF. Basically, what happened after the Looney Bin Loose Cannons match last season, that Drew Kaiser interaction seems appropriate for that announcement there. We needed a big poll, and the fact that and plus I think he's not looking the best on his end because he missed an opportunity to put her with stuff. But I think the whole Tom thing, he wasn't going for it, and I guess maybe, which it seems Kaiser's all for it. Hell, he wanted to keep the Looney Bin together, but I guess he's going to have the closest thing with that team of them and Rick Hahn going by Cuckoo's Mess. Two of the rookies, like I said, Mugan, and then who is the other? I'm forgetting the other guy's name, and I feel awful since I'm trying to keep track of my dungeon, and I'm having a hard time with a lot of things. I'm glad Super Bowl was good for me and not, and was actually just entertaining for the most part. Even the commercials were at least a little bit better than last year's. And even though the trailers, which usually wind up happening since the past few years, there's not much because, well, the internet's already spoiled us on a lot of those, especially the Fast and Furious one. So, sorry, I had something on my nose. But anyway, I'm looking forward to what we're going to have happen with when it comes to the live event for New York, is going to definitely, and one of them affecting what's going to be going in, even though I may just hold off and air this when it's on the Thursday or whatever, the one match is supposed to come out, when that live event is officially come out, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be too far off from what they showed in the live stream, from what it seems. Because they've only shaved off a couple minutes, which means either they which makes me wonder what exactly did they take out. I guess they took out the introduction, and between that or they took out the promo. I don't know which one, but it seems that's more likely what happened. Or they kept that one and they just took out. No, they just took out probably the promo that they wound up showing at the end, more than likely, from what it looks like the premiere is supposed to be. But anyways, from what you're going to get from me pre that, it's the matches we did have. Mainly the first one wasn't all that surprising, except for the fact that it was a closer match than intended. But yeah, at the end of it, it was Guy. Most of the questions, I couldn't really comment much on the questions, although we finally get to see James White, or at least the Schmoedown audience specifically, finally, who haven't actually met him, but may have heard about him, I guess, especially for someone who doesn't do very well at keeping up with fan links and stuff, and I may have to apologize earlier, but about some things, possibly, or come up with something to make up for one of the two. But anyways, the match itself, that one was fine. The only big thing that I got out of it was, ever since that promo that was cut, and good on Guy. I mean, did make Guy look better, and now guys, and I kind of figured by joining the Usual Suspects, not to mention, let's face it, Drew McWeeny, they couldn't, aside from the promo he did with Sam at that point in time, that was about as honest to God, and the attempt at a laugh, I guess, with him, was about the most heelish thing he could do, had done this entire season as the family. And I'm glad the family itself is now, it makes more sense for the family, especially with McWeeny and all that, to be with Sam Levine. And I feel like, in a way, Sam Levine will be their missing component. And I have a feeling that, or at least Sam Levine, especially more so for Guy than McWeeny. But then again, maybe that's also the thing that's a missing component. Maybe for them together is what's going to make that, especially going into their match that will be going up against Corruption, which will be interesting. I'm looking forward to that now. Glad he got his vengeance, even though it turns out, I guess, James White had helped him backstage, I guess, prep up, which apparently helped. It was, I guess, in Burnett's case, having to follow up his last match, which was with Dagnino, which I kind of was expecting a shit show with that one, so even though it was the worst match, but I felt it was expected. Whereas, in comparison to the one match that this one, Burnett basically pulled an Emily Rose Jacobson, in the sense that he had a shittier match, and in terms of his singles debut, and then had a follow-up match, though having lost, his performance was at the very least far better, despite the fact that he had his first win, that first match which had a W on it, was a pathetic performance that made the win just feel not much of anything. Kind of a thing, especially with Winston's performance that no one was expecting Winston to do bad in, and it did suck a lot more because it kind of, until the manager situation, it kind of cut underneath a lot of the storyline they were building from the World's Finest breakup. That was like a huge deal. at that point, and it just kind of cut, and it just made it null and void, all because of some other stuff involving, which was ridiculous. Involving the exhibition match, but I guess he wanted to work more on his black man cred than his nerd cred, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. So I'm sorry if it comes off a certain particular thing, but that's my guess, is that he was more worried in that. And, well, it was also just the fact that the exhibition match was... It's more really the fact that the exhibition match was taped before that, but... And I guess Jay was earlier. That might have been really the more issue. Now I'm working this in. So, either way, sorry. Either way, sorry. Sincerely. To Winston, I love Swag Squad Drip Drip. Even though I'm more a dungeon guy myself, Swag Squad's at least starting to seem like they'll be up in my top 5 of the factions. I need to rework on that. I know I'm willing to have the usual suspects up there, and potentially Rocky Mirths, despite the loss they had, the losses that they apparently will have on them right now, they're losses, and they probably do hurt them in terms of the points rankings that they're starting to bring in, which you're gonna start seeing through Facebook pages, and that's not looking good for them. But anyways, yeah, it was a good match, and it was nice. And the bigger surprise was more, not just so much the match itself, but him finally deciding to change from being Dastardly to being the Debonair. I'm guessing he's going back to doing more suits, and he's not going to be wearing the glasses anymore, since I guess that's a trademark for people who are heels, because I guess they're just turned him face. But this one, unlike Ben's last season, to start with, at the very least, was a better transition. Let's face it. I know he's probably watched way more WWE than Ben, so he more than likely gets it. And it's pretty clear from the way, or at least he's had a history of watching and gets enough an idea. And apparently he's a decent enough actor, even though the only thing you know of is a freaking Walmart commercial. But that's it. And that one thing for the troops, that was, now that I remember, that one was cool. That one was cool. Props to you, by the way. I never got a chance to say that on that. Plus, when you're also catering National Army, which is a huge chunk, and that's kind of what was going to happen with that. Other than that, then we have the very challenging, both in quotations and without quotations, number one contendership that wound up replacing the original main event that I was way more psyched for anyway, because I had a stable in that one. But I guess it saves time and makes this match seem like I get the only thing about it that I understand, even though apparently both Smets and Mara were there, though I think Mara had also a conflict of interest in that number one contenders match, given she's part of the Mouthy Mercs, and, Dan's her boyfriend. So that one was interesting, and I'm going to have Smets in it. I kind of want him to retain. I want him to be one of the few people that will retain when that happens, which I'm guessing that'll be a throwdown, and I'll be okay with that, as long as that match winds up being on the level we did get, which, I'll still be mad. Will I be mad? Not as much as what happened to Collision, since he's finally got the belt, but I still would like him to retain anyway. I won't be as mad, but I'd like you to retain anyway, Smets. I don't know if I'll go as crazy about that, since I've already had good luck with the shirt lately. I mean, the Chiefs. Even though, yes, it was questionable with that, too, and a lot of questionable things with the challenging here. Especially, mostly with Bibbs, the last challenge, which was weird anyway, and all it did was just make Merle mad, and you don't want an angry Dan. You may as well just woken the Hulk, essentially. You don't like him when he's angry. It's like kind of a bit banner thing. Anyway, hello and welcome to the shit show. Anyways, It was a good number one contendership, not gonna lie. I do think it does blow. I don't know if I could say it's necessarily entirely. I feel like this and that the first Collision's number one title match one are neck and neck to me. Though, given that it has been a while since I've seen that one, I can slightly, because of that, I guess this one will slightly edge out, just slightly. And I would even give it more the other one because I know it's a title match. But anyway, well, as opposed to this being a number one contendership, but it worked. And once again, Merle does it again in New York, and in probably the same venue that he had won the title against Irwin. So, figure that. And the only difference is Jen wasn't there, because apparently she was sick, and I saw her in the chat too. Which sucks. Get better, and hopefully things do work out for you to come back, because we do love you in the Schmoedown. Please. I'm already bitter about losing Emma, even though Emma's just going to be doing studio stuff, I guess. It's part of freelance thing, I guess. Bitter for many reasons. Partially, I kind of wanted to see what her background side was. In some sick curiosity, I want to see what her background side was. I know she kind of hinted at it earlier in the season. It's fine. I don't know what. Plus your only social media is Twitter, so. And I hear Twitter is a freaking coliseum, essentially. And you don't want that kind of thing. But anyways, the match itself was pretty tight. The match itself was pretty tight for the most part. And when it came to the round, and it basically boiled down to the fact that whatever happened in round 2 affected most of the match. Because at that point, for some reason, it seemed, if I'm not mistaken, I think every one of their round 3 questions were answered, and it was just. And I guess the challenge that was weird was the one for that Bibbs used on him, and then Bateman tried to challenge but it was already announced that the repeats were necessary, and for some reason, Brendan forgot on it. Ben tried to challenge it, but it was never going to pass because Christian had already openly said there were going to be repeating stuff, which winds up, in my opinion, will be probably more beneficial for the IG and Star Wars titles to still remain in existence. And especially if you want to keep things interesting enough to where Damon may not have the title anymore. Demolante, I would like to see Demolante. I would like, if anything, more so with that. As far as, I'm trying to figure out who our Star Wars player is for Dungeon. But if Smets does decide to go Star Wars, at the very least, I'm all for it, obviously. Because especially given his history on Kotar, and I wouldn't be against that idea that from backstage, that was through the super chats, that of Roka and him going at it for Star Wars. I just don't think I would underestimate Smets, Roka. You had your best spin moment. Need I remind you? Now, other than that, be alright. We usually, except for right now, we usually have the same, we like the slightly similar hat wear. No, I'm not too much on the normal cowboy hats, as I am more of those kind of thing that you would normally see Hugh Jackman wearing or something. But anyways, or any Australian for that matter. Croaky. Technically it was Australian hat-ish thing. It just works for me, as I can pull off the beard that way. So, even though it's not growing as much anymore. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not going to even bother to edit this one. Anyways, the match itself mostly. And then I think the last challenge was the one I did not like. That was Anger Demar, like I just said. I think, yes, I did. Then there's the other thing. I actually said all the challenges, actually. The best part, apparently Phoenix something, I'm forgetting her last name, I'm sorry. And I just sort of went back and watched this before doing this. Figure that. Is the fact that but I wonder if her and Jen have telepathy of some sort, because they seem to have decided to wear the same wardrobe. To the point where when she came out, I was almost thought, wait, how's Jen? Almost thought Jen actually was there for a moment. If I hadn't realized her face wasn't exactly like Jen, since usually Jen has her hair down then her hair up. And I would have noticed about it or figured that it was her if I had not had finished seeing Sin before I watched that. So that was kind of another thing too. And then having Kate Mulligan come in instead for that match was interesting. As for the title match one was interesting as well. Also, yeah, and Guy being now the Debonair makes sense. Can't wait. I actually would rather see the family, and I kind of want to see him get a title anyways. Mainly just to give redemption, so both Sam can now finally sort of redeem himself to McWeenie in McWeenie's eyes, while simultaneously Guy finally being able to get that team's belt. And just further, and only so we can have them and Who's the Boss face each other one more time for Action Civil War, and it be for a belt. And Who's the Boss finally getting it. Although I wouldn't slightly be against a retain from the family, but, and especially in the current cases of the matter, but I'm really more for the, for Who's the Boss, I guess. That, and, the shows a Metallica song that has a, which even though I'm going to want to put on a anyway, just because because despite that, I know Kaiju's Metallica fan. Anyway, sort of. I'm thinking that and then and the promo was that Nerd Chronic had, which it sucks that he's left. Yeah, there was a trade between him and one of the newbie chicks, and I understood. I thought he was gonna stick with it, but I'm glad he really wanted to get Video Drew. I like that too. It adds a little bit more of a sense. Now we have at least half of the team has some sense of star power to it, or at least some notable star power. Sure, Robert Parker, I mean, he's already been a well-known throughout the entire family, not just family itself, but also within the Schmoedown space. And him, before he was Spider, he was Hobbit, and I guess it made sense now to call him Spider. And plus, given his magic trick thing, apparently from what I heard he did, I get why they had him in there, because I can see them trying to pull a Kaiser Chronicles thing, and him having to pull off and use that stuff to be a distraction for them to possibly bail out Kaiser if he wound up in jail or some storyline thing. It would be funny. I can't wait to see part 2 or season 2 of Kaiser Chronicles on that one. Harloff, make it happen. But anyways. Yep. And then, yeah. Overall, I enjoy, I admit, for a start, I felt slightly underwhelmed because I kind of predicted some things. I kind of wanted Brandon to win. Instead, but even though it's a lot better in hindsight for the championship for Atlanta, because, let's face it, Ben needs something to add a good credibility to him and his title, since of the way he wound up winning the title, though impressive on his end in terms of stats, I mean, it's more the fact that Oyama just, for some reason, when it comes to, I guess a lot of people just say he chokes, but I just think he just wasn't there for that day, because he did better. Though he wasn't his best, he did better and was still able to retain despite the third rounds just not going over as well. And it's clear he was nervous, and more so because there were people there, he said. His nerves just get to him when it comes to live events, it seems. And Ben was so laser focused. So and if he can still channel that kind of focus, which is what he's going to need, if he is going to, and what he had in the tournament too, if he's going to beat Dan Murrell. That's the only way. And he has to, he's going to have to beat Dan Murrell. Dan doesn't need an extra accolade at the singles belt. If anything, all this will, if he does win it and becomes 4-time champion, all this will do for Dan, he'll have to defend that belt and along with the teams, but simultaneously, for the most part, I'm not sure he's going to be as focused and locked in for singles, though. I think that's what's going to have to happen with him. He's probably going to, if he does, he's probably just going to put Intergeekdom categories in just so he can train for that, because that's his main, that and retaining teams is, I think, is going to be his main priority. And he'll probably, hopefully, have to retain the singles at least long enough so he would have to be able to kind of stick it to Kalinowski and be the first to wind up being the only person to have all 3 belts. Something Kalinowski almost would have had and probably would have, in all honesty. I'm kind of glad at the time because of, being he was part of our dungeon before, Winston took him for vengeance reasons on Zipper, but which, yeah, sucks. We'd like to have had all our original stable still there, And I think he was kind of thinking of getting the movie guys. I think he was going to get Wit regardless. But I think he just lost that on Preston because of the second round poll. And I think he wanted to print in Tom too, but that didn't work out. And instead found a backup plan as long as he had Video Drew, it was going to work. Which is what happened with Cuckoo's Nest and Butcher Boy is going to be interesting. Those teams are going to, yeah. It makes, both teams makes absolute sense coming from Kaiser. Oh, jeez. I'll miss Looney Bin, but Cuckoo, I don't know if that's going to be called Cuckoo's Mess, the main fan page, Looney Bin Best Friends to Cuckoo Mess Best Friends. I don't know. I hope that page's still there. I hope they just keep it as just, maybe just call it Video Drones and then still have it be like a tribute to both what was the Looney Bin and then also still do stuff for Cuckoo's Mess. I don't know. But let's see how that goes. And, well, I got stables in both, since Adam Witt's involvement, I still technically have movie guys, so, and then, basically, I'm gonna have to have Dan up in my 5 for Preston, and I like Tom. Kinda glad they're a team then. It's nice. And plus, just so most of the Sen members are in it, mostly. I didn't expect Sheridan. But I don't understand you, Kate, but okay. Sure, Grace is advising you on that one. But I love the accent thing, though. I know she got rid of it, and her taking that thing was funny with the "Get back here, Dan." I hope that stays in too. That was funny. In that one. So, but anyways, I've went on long enough, as I usually do. So, to those who've seen it, also spoilers in case I decide to actually make this more public in the pages. Should have said that earlier. But anyways, I'll just premiere it. Screw it. Well, actually, yeah, I'm going to make it premiere so it's not so bad. Screw it. Let's do that. Even though I'm not sure I'll be there for that premiere. That's why I was leery to do that. But anyways, that's it, guys. What did you think of New York Live event? What little I had to say, I guess, for the draft that I could say without looking like a complete idiot with the draft and Schmoedown Awards. Leave a comment below, let me know. I'll have to chat up with you guys on it. As always, I'm Tyler. This is Rockin' Movies, and this is Schmoedown Rocks. Keep it real, keep it rockin'. If you smell what the movie trivia Schmoedown, Schmoedown Entertainment Network, and Schmoedown Rocks